So, Kevin, will we get some form of fiscal stimulus out of a national emergency?
Yes. Look, I think that there's two quick things that I would note here. First and foremost is that by the president declaring a national emergency and invoking the Stafford Act, it allows him to have more cash on hand and more liquidity on hand, quite frankly, to work with FEMA to inject into local municipalities at the very local level where there is a hotspot of activity of the coronavirus outbreak. That takes some of the pressure off of Congress to deal with this from their ability so that they can focus more, and this is the second point I make, more on the economic stimulus component.
And that's the question, the economic stimulus. You'll remember back in 2008, 2009, we had TARP, and that really put an enormous amount of money at work. Are we going to get something on that order of magnitude out of Congress, and perhaps as important, when?
You know, what's fascinating about the conversation right now is that the timetable is moving very rapidly. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, David, as we've been reporting, have been working really round the clock. But the timing of when they're actually going to come up with something remains loose because, quite frankly, so many Americans are staying home from work.
At the same time, what about the politics of it, Kevin? Because it struck me that for once we might not have a partisan divide. It's not clear that some of the Republicans up on the Hill are agreed with the Republican White House on what exactly to do with fiscal stimulus.
Precisely. And in fact, as it relates to taxes, that in particular has some Republicans very uncertain as to whether or not they could get behind that. But on the issue of politics, this has completely upended the Democratic 2020 Democratic presidential race. We've seen states delay and postpone their primaries. And really, I think both campaigns, Sanders and Biden, are recalibrating as this continues to play itself out.
Which is a challenge for Senator Sanders, for the former vice president. At the same time, it must be a challenge for the White House right now. They must be a little bit nervous about a crisis right now as we go into a November election if President Trump doesn't come across well.
And as all outside strategists have put it to me, David, the best thing for the Trump administration to do right now is get this under control, provide free access to testing, get the confidence of the American people, get the confidence of the economy back on track, and then pivot back to politics.
How much are they focused on the public health aspect of this? A lot of people are questioning why we don't have more tests out. We heard from Dr. Fauci this week saying it's a failing, actually, that we can't test more people more quickly.
Precisely. And this is where the public-private partnership is really going to be a massive illustration of that. And the administration says that in the next week or so, that tests are going to dramatically increase.
And will they?
Well, we're going to have to find out, hopefully. Look, public-private partnership, the stakes have truthfully never been higher.